introduction of Approved Document Part S looks at the installation of EV chargers in homes and other buildings, and it is a big change for developers, self-builders and anyone tackling major renovations. Electric vehicles have been a hot topic for years, and now they're steering us into the future. As electric cars replace traditional petrol and diesel vehicles, it's important for building regulations to keep up by offering charging infrastructure at home and at work. Part S came onto the scene after other building regulations updates in late 2021, aiming to boost energy efficiency across England. One of the biggest hurdles for potential electric vehicle owners has been the lack of home charging options. Part S kicked in on the 5th of June 2022 with a grace period until 2023 for ongoing projects. If you submitted a building notice or initial notice before then, you can continue under the old regulations, providing construction starts by the 15th of June 2023. Part S requires new homes and those undergoing major renovations to include facilities for charging electric vehicles. This applies to parking spaces tied to the home. Here's who needs to pay attention. New residential and non-residential buildings, conversions into dwellings like turning a barn into a home, major renovations including 10 or more dwellings, new or significantly renovated mixed-use buildings. So if you're planning to build a new home, you'll need to have an electric vehicle charge point for each parking space that matches the number of homes. If you've got more parking spaces than homes, you can run cable routes, but it's not required unless you're building more than 10 homes. For those doing a self-build, you'll need at least one charging point. As for cost, there's this rule to keep the price of installing EV chargers reasonable, and it's capped at £3,600. This means each charging point should not average more than that. If you're looking at higher costs, then you'll need to set up cable routes for charge points in those parking spaces while sticking to that £3,600 cap. So a tethered charge point is like having an EV cable always ready at your charging station, making life a bit easier when charging your electric vehicle. On the flip side, an untethered charge point or universal socket isn't fixed and offers more flexibility. Technically, Part S wants each EV charger to have a universal socket, but there are some exceptions. For those building their own homes, using a tethered charge point might be totally fine if you're already familiar with your vehicle's needs. The cool thing about a tethered charger is you don't have to fish around in the boot for the cable every time. But if you're charging different cars with varying connection types, an untethered charger gives you more options. A universal socket also makes the charger installation appear cleaner and neater. It reduces the risk of cable theft, allows different lengths of cables to be connected, and it makes replacing the charge cable easier if it were to get damaged in use, which is generally cheaper to purchase than tethered models. If you're converting a building like turning a barn into a home, you'll need to consider installing an EV charger due to Part S requirements. Basically, if your conversion results in one or more homes with parking spaces, each home should have access to an electric vehicle charge point. If you're working with a listed building, national monument or other historical and traditional structures, you might not need to worry about adding an EV charger. These buildings get special consideration from building control bodies and may be exempt in certain cases. So you're wondering if Part S comes into play for renovations and extensions? Well, it does if you're doing a big renovation, like converting a large home into flats, especially if there'll be more than 10 parking spaces when you're done. It doesn't affect individual renovators or anyone just adding a bit of extra space to their home. For those bigger projects, at least one parking space for every 10 or more flats needs to have an electric car charging point, and cable routes should be ready for other spaces too. We also need to work at a ratio of 1 in 5 spaces. So if I had 16 parking spaces, I would need to install as a minimum 1 charger and cable route for 3 future charge points. Before you get started, make sure the property's power supply has the capacity to handle the electric vehicle charge points. And if adding those charge points and cable routes costs more than 7% of the total renovation budget, then just make sure you've got those cable routes in place for the parking spaces. When installing new EV charge points, you'll need a power supply of at least 7 kilowatts or have the cable routes prepared for that. It might be wise to consider setting up cable routes that allow for faster charging. Also, look into how your charger connects with other tech, like photovoltaic inverters. The system software can communicate with these technologies and kick on the car charger when your solar panels are generating excess energy. When thinking about where to put chargers, it's important to consider the distance from the power grid. If a parking space is too far, the volt drop from a long cable could mess up with the charging capabilities. According to the Part S guidelines, the best spot for an electric vehicle charge point or future connections is usually at one corner of the parking space. But if the charge point is serving multiple spaces, it should be positioned so all the spaces can recharge at the same time. For any parking space needing cable routes, you'll want to run them from a metered electricity supply point to where the future connection will be. Regulation 44J outlines the basics for Part S building regulations EV charge points. So here's what an EV charge point should have. It needs to provide a decent power output for each parking spot it's meant for. It should run on its own dedicated circuit. It must be compatible with any vehicle that might need to use it. By ensuring that all new homes and business developments come with universal EV charging points, the government aims to encourage more people to switch to electric vehicles. This is all part of their plan to hit zero emissions by 2050 and to prepare for the up-and-coming ban on petrol and diesel vehicle sales in 2030. A great solution for the above are these Lewden EV feeder pillars, specifically designed to enhance compliance with Part S of the building regulations and future-proof your electric vehicle infrastructure. These pillars are both robust and versatile, expertly designed to seamlessly integrate EV charge points into new developments. With dedicated circuits for multiple charging units, they empower developers to create scalable and flexible charging solutions while accommodating universal socket installations. Plus, they simplify cable route planning for future expansions in mind, paving the way for potential upgrades as technology advances and the demand for electric vehicle charging rises. In the next video, I will be exploring the accessibility requirements for EV charge points and what the requirements are. But if you just can't wait for that video, then why not head over to the know-how page over on efix.co.uk, where you can access all the videos to this series at once. And when you've completed them, you'll get a certificate towards your CPD. But until next time, it's bye-bye for now.